Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with What's a Rolfie, Unky, Fireman 1231,
East Coast Kellys,
JDB Cubed, and Fireman Freddy. Let's get to the show.
What are we talking about?
51. Episode 51. We're talking baseball and American Red Cross. That's what we're talking.
That's it.
Hey, guess what? I've got somebody on the podcast today because I don't really know baseball. Like, I love baseball, but I really don't know baseball. So when we talked last week about American Red Cross and opening day and things in the future and Operation Yellow Tape and all this other stuff and maybe going catching a game, part of the reason for that is because my kid, the one who's up here, this odd mug on the screen there. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, you're going to need to go check it out. It's my kid, Preston Kelly, who loves all things baseball. And I don't know anybody on the podcast who doesn't love baseball. So he's going to talk for me today about baseball and his predictions and what he thinks and what he likes. So, and then I'm going to chime in and talk all the nerd stuff and talk about Red Cross and the fundraising stuff. So anyways,
welcome, Preston.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, just so you know, and you're not going to know this until you turn 40, because I'm 40. I used to know all the stats and all that kind of stuff about baseball. I love baseball. In fact, I had a podcast a long time ago, the Matt and Alex Sports Podcast, and we would talk about all sports. But the guys that I did the podcast with, they were primarily soccer fans. And these are my best friends from high school. And I just could not get into. I love EPL, English Premier League, fun to watch. Just couldn't get into it like they do. So I'm excited that everybody on this podcast is a lover just as much as I am of baseball. But I'm excited and very actually kind of depressed because I can't talk about baseball the way you're going to probably talk about it today, just because I don't have enough bandwidth in my brain to keep up with, who's been traded here, who's got contracts there, except for Shohei Ohtani, of course. I saw a picture of Shohei and then next to it was Mookie Betts. Did you guys see that meme?
Yeah.
Shohei,
Ohtani Betts.
Yeah, Ohtani Betts. That's good. So anyways, I just wanted to start off with that and say welcome. Welcome to the podcast.
And say welcome.
So what I told him to be prepared for is to talk studs and duds for 2024 MLB.
Love it. Are we talking about like stud teams or just like studs?
I told him like stud teams. Like, what are your prediction? Like, because like anything. Like, let's go back. At the end of the season and at the end of seasonings. Man, you can tell I cook. At the end of the season. At the end of the season, and let's see if your predictions were right. And we talked a little trash because we were talking about NC State. He's a Carolina fan. I'm a State fan. So we're recording it. State's in the Elite Eight. His Tar Heels went home. But we talked about just the brackets. And I saw a stat that only 5.4% of people who filled out their brackets expected for NC State to go this far. So I told him, I said, don't beat yourself up too bad about brackets and what you say today, because there's so many different variables that are just going to change the season. And you don't have to know anything about the baseball or, whatever to kind of get that right or wrong. So
people like Stephen A. and what's that other loudmouth ass dude, the old white guy, Matt, what's his
Mad
name?
Dog?
Oh, you're talking about
Oh, Shannon Sharp, the one.
No, I love Shannon Sharp. Skip Bayless.
Skip.
Oh,
they make a living running their mouth and they're wrong all the time. So, yeah.
All they do is yell. Stephen A. All he does is yell. But I mean, I guess that's why people. I guess that's why they watch him. The majority of people must like that.
Cannot stay at Stephen A.
Oh my God.
So why don't y'all start out with your favorites? Are they going to be a stud or a dud? Doug, what do you think? I know what you want. I know what you want, but what do you think? What's your outlook for the Braves? What do you think they're going to be?
As good, if not better than last year. I mean, nothing much changed. We actually got a little better. So nothing's going to change there. It'll be Braves Dodgers again, I think.
Okay.
I mean, you got to put the Dodgers in there just because of the talent they have and the money they spent, which on the talent. But I mean, we're just as talented, if not better. I think our rotation might be a smidge better. But baseball is so freaking long, and none of it matters right now. Like, you don't even really have to pay attention to baseball until August.
Yeah.
That's when it really matters. And injuries, especially to pitching, Big deal.
Hey, as a baseball lover, you can't say that. I'm sorry.
I'm a realist also.
Facts aren't fair.
I'm also the guy. I've been a baseball fan all my life. I mean, I got a Braves tattoo, but this season's too long.
Okay, Anthony Rendon.
It is.
Yeah.
It's too long.
I agree. And I would get smashed by more than a majority of baseball fans that they would say, like the diehard people, I love watching 162 games. And we were just talking about this, and I got no problem saying that. I do the 3-game parlays just to keep myself engaged with other teams other than the Angels. I'll throw in money on Baltimore or whatever. I don't even care. Just to have fun and just to stay engaged with the teams, and it's exciting,
Yeah.
And so 162 games for me is just fine. Now, I mean, I couldn't imagine, playing 100 and whatever some odd games as a player. I mean, that's insane. And all the travel. I mean, it's funny. Even like football. And I don't know if I said this on this podcast before, but a football game is however long. And at the very end of the game, we're expecting those guys to play just as hard as they did the first snap as they do the 50th snap. And these guys have gotten blasted. I mean, they might as well run through a brick wall, right? And they're tired. They're human beings. But we look at them as like they're fucking robots, But at the end of the day, they're real people. And I mean, just sliding into second base when you're not still 23 years old is, you can get injured. But I don't know. I'm just going to be selfish.
I'd like to see it down to 125 to start and see where it goes.
No, that's a good start. Don't cut it in half. Like there's guys that say 81.
No, God, no. Anything less than 100 is no.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just chime in and say this. My only heartburn with it is I have a friend of mine who said, your expectations should be high. Look at the amount of money that they're getting paid in a contract. I mean, it's not like it's cheap money, And so the expectation is they should be able to last that long in those kind of games for the amount of money that they're being paid and for the amount of resources that are being thrown at them. Conditioners, trainers, nutritionists, all this stuff. Right? I mean, it is entertainment. That's what you're doing. That's what you're paying for.
When I messed my knee up, it took me 6 weeks to get an MRI. These guys get an MRI within 6 hours, max.
100%.
Max.
And a lot of times it's done by halftime if it happens in the first quarter.
There you go. So, I mean, like, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, also, is there an expectation that if you shorten the season, the cap on the contract's going to go down? Like, what is the player's perspective on that? So you write a $180 million contract. Are you now okay with now that season going down if I drop, I don't know, $30 million off of that? Like, is that okay?
It has to. It has to go down because when you take 40 games out of the season, that's 40 games that are not being played on television. And so those networks aren't going to pay those premiums to MLB.
Yeah, everything goes down. Your concessions, your ticket sales, your parking, everything. It's the economy.
It's the business side.
And I think a lot of guys probably would be okay with that. Well, they'd have to be. I mean, you don't have a choice.
I would put a bet today that if they were to ever take games away, it'd be like 12. You know what I mean? Like, because the MLBPA would go at it, MLB would go at it, the networks would come in they'd all sit around this mahogany desk. It smells really nice in there.
Real glossy.
Yeah. And they're going to say, hey, I want 40 games off. And then they're going to come back and be like, dude, do you understand how much 40 games costs? Yeah. Billions. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking about concessions. You're talking about TV contracts. It is. I mean, it's unbelievable how much money that would cost.
City transit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the economic impact that those have, is unreal.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't even know what it is, but for a team to make the playoffs, I mean, that city, their economic status, I mean, it just goes up tenfold.
Yeah.
So me and Preston's mom, we celebrated our 19th anniversary last weekend. And so I planned a trip to Charlotte, because that's what I wanted to do. Her team is the Tar Heels. And so they ended up playing in Charlotte last weekend. So I was gonna end up trying to get some tickets. That was sweet until I saw the prices. So I should have locked it in. I did not. They were still like nosebleed, like $200 a pop. So I didn't buy them, and I thought, oh well, if it's a crummy team, like that's where they're at right out the gate. Once Carolina got Charlotte, the ticket prices nosebleed went up to $400.
Yeah, that's a home game for them.
Yeah, it's a home game, and she was like, I think we should go, and I'm like, sorry, babe, we're not going. But it's unreal. So that speaks to exactly what Doug is saying, because when we got on the train, I bet you half of the people that were riding the train from Raleigh to Charlotte were wearing Carolina gear. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was just an Amtrak train to Charlotte. Half of them were wearing Carolina swag.
That's how I go to DC when the Braves are playing the Nats.
Mm-hmm.
Either I drive to Springfield and take the DC Metro in because I'm not driving into the city, or we'll take Amtrak to DC.
Yes, and they take away games. Guess who's going to pay more money?
We are.
Right.
Yeah. Shit rolls downhill, pal.
Yeah.
And that has to do with everything. So, you go to a football game, you want to sit in a AOK seat, you're going to be paying $200, $300, $400, $500 a seat. Right now, you can still see a ball game for $11, in some stadiums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would go away. That would go away. I mean, if you took away that many games.
You could probably see it for $11 in Oakland.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that opening day?
No. Was it bad?
Oh God, yeah. I don't know if have you ever been to the Coliseum? It was 13,000. Yeah. The Coliseum's gigantic. I mean, the Raiders used to be there a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But so that stadium's huge. And they had 13,000 people. I mean, it looked like a high school game,
That's sad. So what about you, Matt? What about your Angels? What do you think? They're going to be a stud or dud?
Last place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. It's just, they've already got shit on the back end going with Rendon, who's getting paid way too much money. He's an old man now.
Jesus, what a diva.
He's broken. He's a diva. Yeah. That means to me that their clubhouse is not good. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not even going to talk that much about it. But this has been my prediction since I've had my sports podcast back in 2020. The Angels will not do well until Artie sells that team, in my opinion. And I got into an argument with a couple of the hosts from my previous podcast about what owners want. And I don't truly believe that every owner out there is just down for the bottom line. Is that a big piece? Absolutely. It's their investment. That's what they're going to hand down to their family. So is it a high priority for them? Yes, but there are still teams out there, I have to believe, in my heart of hearts, that want to win.
And at the ownership level.
At the ownership level, absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously the players want to win, but there are a few owners out there who are like, look, man, I want to I'm a little biased, but AA is one of those. Alex Anthopoulos is that he just wants to win, because with winning comes more money.
Yeah. I mean,
I was going to say, you can't tell me, and I follow NFL a little bit more than I do MLB, but you can't tell me
the same principle. Sure.
I was going to say, you can't tell me that Detroit ownership did not want it so bad this year. I mean, you look at the manager that they had. I can't remember his name now to save my life, but
Dan Campbell.
There you go. The momentum that guy had starting out where he did in that organization. I don't think that I'm going to assume he wanted it just as bad as every other player in that locker room. Like legitimately, he wanted it every much. And so Preston and I are Washington fans. I mean, you talk about selling the team. Best thing that Washington could have ever done was get rid of Dan Snyder. And the momentum and the excitement, like on Facebook feeds and forums, is insane. And there's a lot of hype about taking the Redskins name back, and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know. I'm excited about that. Just what could happen under this new ownership. So 100%.
And it proved to be a good thing because all of our home games this year, Washington, they were sold out this past year under the new ownership. Whether I get it, we only won 4 games, but still the fans showed up. And I feel like that's the same way how it's going to be with the A's and eventually the Angels. That both their owners need to sell the team. Because you were talking about that picture, Matt, with the 13,000 people. It had on the left side, the day before the new owner took over, the stadium was filled with 40-something thousand people. And you look at it now, you're just gosh, what happened? And it just makes the game and the sport less fun. It's just too bad. I don't like it.
Let me interject my favorite word. Everybody knows what it is. Culture has a big deal. Culture. Even I mean, from the head all the way down to the lowest player in baseball, they feel it. And when you've got an owner who's at odds with the city for years, about wanting to purchase the land, and Anaheim's going, no, and Artie's like, well, fuck right off, right? And then they were going to make this. Sorry for the.
That's good.
And so the city they're at odds. I mean, what do you think that's showing the guys? Like there's no win there. The guy wanted to turn the Angels Stadium, all the parking lot into an entire mall and create this whole atmosphere, which, at the end of the day would be awesome for the fan experience. But Artie just wanted the money. He didn't care. And because Artie's at odds with Anaheim so bad, do you think he wants to win for the city? That city wins a lot of money if they make it to the playoffs. Obviously Artie's not going to just sabotage it, and I would think that he would have more pride than that. But I don't know. The only thing I could say now is that Artie's got to go. We heard last year that he was going to sell the team. I jumped up for joy. I mean, I was like, heck yeah, let's go. And then all of a sudden I hear that it falls through and now he's not going to sell it. And I'm like, here we go. Now we lose Ohtani. Didn't even, the moves that the Angels made last year was almost to the fact that they just want to get last place. It's unbelievable. So
yeah. Absolute waste of a generational player's talent in Mike Trout. I feel bad for Mike Trout. Always have.
I know.
And it's crazy how loyal he is. Like, he's been there for over 10 years now, and he's dealt with this every year. I don't think he's only been to the playoffs once. One time. That was like his rookie year. Yep. Like, and that just proves how loyal he is. But I just when does he finally give in and say, I need to get out? Well, that's what I would do.
That's the thing. This poor guy who's worked his ass off. Now he's starting to get injured because he's worked so hard, in my opinion. And now these guys are talking about how he doesn't want to win. He doesn't want to leave the Angels and endure the pressure of the playoffs. Are you kidding me? Me? One of the best players probably ever to play the game. Now he's starting to get hurt. He's starting to play a lot less games. His stats, he only hit 268 or 270 last season. Again, I'm going to go back to the top. It's all the fish stinks from the head, my friends. And Artie's a stinker.
It stinks from the head.
He's a big old stinker. And it's affected one of the greatest players. Come on. Remember when we saw Mike Trout come in? He was 20 years old. The guy was a beast. Then he came in the next couple of years weighing even more, just jacked out of his mind, still stealing 40, 50 bags or whatever it was. He was unbelievable. And now he's just deflated. They obviously paid him, right? They had to. And so he's making money. He's living in Newport Coast. He's got a beautiful wife and beautiful kid there, and he's just living it up in Southern California. But it sucks. It sucks to see that waste for sure.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago.
Go ahead.
Hold on, just to finish that out. 3 years ago, it's crazy. We're talking about Mike Trout potentially being the greatest baseball player of all time if he continued to where he was, and then they just slowly but surely crumble, and now it's just like what we said. He doesn't want to win. He gets injured too much, and it's just he's falling apart, and it's just sad to see because he's one of my favorite players. He's one of the reasons I watch baseball.
Yeah. And they don't treat him that way, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They treat him like, he doesn't want to win. Oh, he's just wasting himself. He needs to go to the Dodgers. He needs to go to the Yankees. He needs to go to the Phillies, all this stuff. And they just talk shit on him, and it's terrible. Yeah. It's terrible. Yeah.
Wow. So how about Preston? How about your Nats? What do you think?
I think we're going to still.
Doug gave him a big
better. Look, we're not going to be great. I'm not saying that we're going to be great, but we're young, and I like the future that we have. We've got a good farm system going, and we traded away Soto, Harper left, all this stuff, but the trade, it gave us so much to these young guys who are showing that they've got a lot of potential in them. And I'm not saying that we're going to do anything this year, and I don't think we will, but I think it'll be definitely a big leap to show towards the future of what the team can be, guys like CJ Abrams, Lane Thomas. So I don't see us making the playoffs anytime soon, but it's just going to be a big leap year than the past couple years, I think.
Okay. All right. So, right? Yeah.
The Braves were a year or two ahead when they rebuilt too. They really surprised some people early in that rebuild around the 2018-19 time frame. They really got ahead of the curve, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, maybe this team's a little ahead." So they started adding some folks, and obviously they won it in 21, but
worked out.
It's not ruled out.
Yeah.
So let me ask.
Baseball is in general. He mentioned something about young. Baseball in general is in good hands because there is a ton of really, really good young guys playing ball right now.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of was where I was going to go with that question. Who are the?
And it's more spread out now.
Yeah.
You
that's
had
what I was going to.
The J-Rods in Seattle, and then you got the Rangers kids, and I mean it's really spread out.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask is who are the teams to watch? Who picked up players this year that really you think that they're going to be the teams to watch if they stay healthy?
Baltimore.
Think? Baltimore? Okay.
Wow,
that was
for Baltimore.
Tampa.
I like
Seattle.
I like Baltimore a little bit, but like they didn't really add. They just still got they got all their young guys playing. Like it showed last year how good they were. They won 100 games, and I think last year the reason why they performed so bad in the playoffs is just because of that experience. Like I said, like it's good to have young guys, but once they get kind of that little bit of a mold in what the playoffs feel like, I think they're going to do better this year. But in terms of like a sneaky team, like I think we all know Baltimore is going to do good, but like a team I think a team that I think are going to shock people is the Reds. Honestly, they added a couple other pieces and everything. Again, they're kind of young. I think they're going to do the same thing Baltimore did last year. Like they're going to have a chance to win that division, and they probably won't make it far in the playoffs, but like they're still going to show like they're going to be a team to watch out for in the future. So,
I think another sneaky one that probably not a lot of people are talking about is Freddie's Tigers.
Yeah, I like that too.
They're going to be a lot better than people think, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go back and say, Preston and I, we have a goal to visit all MLB ballparks. And so Baltimore was a park we went to. What year was that, Preston?
2021, I think. Yeah.
2021, it was a COVID year. So Preston got COVID the weekend of his birthday. As I'm unplugging my headphones. But when we went, we couldn't go. So then we emailed. His birthday is on the weekend of September 11th, so the 13th. So we emailed I emailed. He didn't. But I emailed them and said, hey, give my tickets away to some first responders. Like find a dad and a son or whatever, because I couldn't sell them. They stunk, right? But it was some cheap tickets. I said, just give them to somebody. And when I sent that message on Instagram or whatever, and they were decent seats. They were outfield, I think first baseline, so right field. And so I made a comment to him, and I basically said something to the effect of, hey, give it to somebody, first responder weekend 9/11. They emailed me back and said, if you can make any home game, our vice president of community engagement would like to have you guys back as our guest, whatever. So we were like, cool. And they were not even like playoff bound at all. They stunk. Yeah, no. But we ended up going, 2 weeks later? And he and I have talked that was probably the funnest game we've been to yet. So we've been Braves, Orioles, Nats. I've been Pittsburgh and Colorado. He hasn't been to those. We've been Rangers, Texas Rangers. But that stadium experience, even when you talk about culture, even though they did not have a chance in the playoffs at all, everybody was all in just having a good time, because at that point it was like an intramural game. They were like, man, we're just here to play baseball, and like we're just having a good time. I mean, even the mascot was having a good time, but we ended up behind the dugout, and it was just that was probably one of my most favorite trips yet. So what about you, Matt? Who's the team that you think is the sleeper team, the team to watch?
I mean, I think Baltimore, and I just like I said, my bandwidth hasn't allowed me to do any research. I haven't really kept up on the off season, maybe a little bit of the Angels here and there, but just from what they did last year, and I think they're just going to work off their momentum from last year, and so we'll see. But yeah, definitely Baltimore is going to be the team that I'm going to watch, in that respect.
Cool, I like it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to log these predictions. I know we've been going a little while, and we want to tell folks about our Red Cross campaign. So I went and I did some homework, a little bit of statistics. We had hoped to have James Jarvis on from Red Cross, if I can kind of pitch that, and then we can kind of just wrap up about that. Is that cool? Y'all good with that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So So, a couple little things. James Jarvis is one of the chapter directors for the Southeast region of North Carolina. So he covers out of Wilmington, North Carolina, just north of Myrtle Beach. So geographically, that should help some folks. He covers quite a decent footprint. He's a prior military. And so he covers several counties. I don't even know how many it is, but he was planning on being on the podcast today. Ended up being underneath the weather, so he couldn't jump on. But I asked him to send him some stats, and even not feeling well, he still gave me that. So I'd like to share some stuff that I didn't realize for folks. So we're going to drop away in the comments or in the show details of how we're going to collect those funds. We literally dropped a show on Friday, and then we recorded like on Saturday. So we don't have all those details released just yet. So we're going to use the rest of this week before we launch it to work out those specifics. So I don't want to share that, but just go to the show details and we'll drop all that. But I wanted to share some other stuff with you that was pretty cool. So since the campaign started with FEMA for smoke alarms, they have installed 2.8 million alarms nationwide. That's a huge number of smoke alarms that affect people. In fact, the total number of people is 2,063. 654 of those were children that were saved because of the alarms. I talked about the two in my community, but when you look at those 2,000, those 2.8 million alarms, that's almost 700 kids that's now going to affect generations of families, right? Those were grabs that didn't have to be made, but there were fires that still had to be put out. And I think that's pretty awesome. When we talk about Operation Yellow Tape and all the mental health side of this, these are some of the most traumatic events. And if we can avoid that, that would be awesome. I can tell you locally that equated to 68 in North Carolina, 68 homes. So the next time you go and you teach fire safety to a group of preschoolers, just imagine that every one of those were lives that were saved. If you wanted to put a number on that, that's kind of the impact that I tell people. Here's another cool stat. They collect 40% of the nation's blood supply. And I kind of talked about that, about how they recirculate that into disaster assistance. But one thing I did not realize is 25% of that 40% goes to cancer patients. That helps them sustain impact and prolong the time that they have with their families. And I thought that was really cool because I know how we talk about how important cancer is in the fire service or just cancer in general and the impact that it has. But if you think about the amount of cancer patients that need blood transfusions, that's awesome that they're able to do that. So here was something that was pretty cool too. He said for disaster relief, they had the surge capability to respond to disasters nationwide. I mean, think about how fast they had to mobilize and go to Hawaii. Several hours, right, by air just from California to respond to these wildfire disasters. But he said the one thing that they respond to more than anything was, what do you think it is, Doug? What do you think? More than house fires, yeah. And that is that immediate response. And he said, he does give me his number of counties. He said he covers 12 counties. And he said for his 12 county chapter, they respond to 6 to 8 fires a week. 6 to 8 a week.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Right. And so in that moment, they provide money, food, clothing, they replace medications, all the stuff we talked about last week, medical equipment, eyeglasses, but then they'd respond back with disaster mental health care. And I think that that's super important because like we discussed, if you think about that, 654 children, if those fatalities, I can speak to my county, all of our mass fire fatalities were ones that involved children. We had a fire that 7 kids died, 5 kids died, 3 kids died. Preston plays ball with one of the families that they had lost 3 kids in that home fire. And so that changes the dynamics of that family forever, like forever, whether it's physical scars, emotional scars, mental health scars. And so for the Red Cross to jump in and be able to provide that, that's pretty awesome. So whether it's we're supporting a firefighter peer support program or someone who bridges the gap in the response or is on scene with us like Red Cross, I'm all in. And yeah, he did confirm 90 cents of every dollar goes back directly to services that are provided. So I think that that's awesome. I mean, I'm all for it. So if you're listening and you follow my socials, look out for it. We're going to blast that out like crazy. I wish I could say I could do something, but I don't have a mustache. And I don't have much of a head to shave. So, and Doug, he's got the baby face anyway. So he's moisturizing twice a day. So I don't know. We have to think of some
You're damn right.
We're going to have to think of something that we can do, because I think it would be awesome for some of us to kind of step up and say, hey, if we can give this. And I love Nick's sentiment. If all of our followers on all of our socials would just donate 25 cents, 50 cents, man, that would be huge. Our goal would not be a problem at all. It would be huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's my sermon. Hallelujah.
Preach,
Amen.
baby.
Hallelujah.
Preach. I love it.
Hallelujah.
I love it. We're still trying to figure out. Obviously, people aren't going to hear this till Friday, so that's good. We have some time, but we are going to be pushing out. So when you start hearing this, you're going to have already seen on our Instagram. We're going to come up with a way for you guys to go to our website. We'll have a QR code and a way to donate your 25 cents, 50 cents, $5, $10, whatever you want to help towards this cause. And of course, if you can't, just your support with comments, follows, likes, that gets, like we said last week, that puts us out into the world a little bit more exposure, and that always helps as well. And there's going to be more times that we're going to do this. So if you can't help this time, we totally understand. Economically, man, it's tough out there. It's a dozen eggs is like $5-6 nowadays. It's like, what the heck's going on?
When you get them at the backyard,
right?
Hey, here's what I'm asking folks for folks to do. If you skip the Starbucks or whatever line one day and you turn that into a donation, even just the number of our subscribers, we would surpass our goal. I mean, if you look at the number of people that we have.
Don't even skip it. Just don't get the big one. Get the medium or the small one.
Yeah. Get the small and then give us the rest.
I'm sorry.
Okay. You can just get a tall or get a grande.
I'm grande. I'm a big boy.
Yeah, I'm feel offended now. You talking about me?
Should be.
You making big jokes?
Hey, we went to Starbucks last weekend, and my wife was like, "What size do you want?" And she went through all those old things. I said, "I want a large." Okay, I just want a large. Don't give me none of that other grande, venti, whatever.
Oh, don't.
I know the venti. I don't know the ones that are smaller than that. Because that's what I always, when we go, I tell my wife, just get me the venti because I know that's the big one. I don't know which order they go in.
I don't know any of that.
Is it tall?
I don't know.
What's tall? Matt?
What? It goes tall, grande, venti. I think there's actually a triple venti or something now. It's like a
small, medium, large.
It's a venti or something. I don't know. Shit.
Okay.
So this was fun. We'll look back. We did look back and see how the ML season played out.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a monthly check-in and just see if our predictions are true. Condense it down, not necessarily a whole video, but maybe a 10-minute check-in on our studs and duds, and then once a month say, hey, where's our records at, and go from there. So
nice.
I didn't tell you this.
Hold on.
Oh,
okay. If we're gonna make this a thing to where we check in like monthly, I feel like we all have to at least put in a championship pick, right? Like a beginning of the season, like a mid-season, and then like we look back and see how we did. Like I feel like we all need to make at least a little prediction. I think I know where Doug's going to go with his, but
like there's any doubt.
Yeah.
Just for Doug, I'm going to choose the Dodgers.
Doug's going Braves. Matt's going Dodgers. Preston,
no, I cannot go Dodgers. I can't. I just
you said you could.
Oh, I want to just to contradict, this guy, the big guy. The big guy. So no, I can't take the Dodgers. I can't. I have more morals and I have more ethics. I have ethics. Yeah, I can't legitimately.
Well, then who is it?
I don't know. I got to think. Let me think. Well, who's going to be yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know at all. Like part of me said, like I listened to y'all, your sleeper team, so maybe I should go Orioles, based off of what y'all said. Yeah. I mean, look, if it's not your teams, like I'm split between Nats and Braves, and I know, Doug, don't look at me like that. I get it. My grandfather was a Braves fan, so I have to pull for the Braves, but my kid is a Nats fan, and some of the best memories I'll have with him is at Nats Stadium. So I want to go Nats. But at the same time, I have to stay loyal to my grandfather. So I'm stuck between the two, but neither one of them, I don't know. I'm going Orioles. There I said it. I'm done. I'm not going to debate it anymore. Orioles.
I would love it to be the Nationals, but I know that's not going to happen. But right now I'm going Braves. I think they're the best team in baseball. And I think they'll beat the Orioles just to throw that in there. I think it'll be Braves Orioles, and I got the Braves going and winning.
I think the Braves barely make the playoffs this year.
Oh, snap.
You heard it here first.
That there's fighting words.
That was a sarcastic laugh, by the way.
And I'm telling you, I think that the Rangers are going to be extremely tough this year.
Yeah.
But I can't take them because they're in my division. And so I'm going to go with the Indians.
You want to know who Vegas likes?
I do.
Yeah. Who?
The Dodgers.
What is Vegas like?
Okay,
Dodgers.
what's like? Give me top 3.
So Dodgers plus 350, Braves plus 400, Astros plus 750.
The Astros always got to be in there. They know how to win.
And then,
Well,
yeah.
with wires and cheating.
Regardless, the last 10 years, how do you say that they're not the best team in baseball or have been the best team in baseball? They're just always
Look at their
there.
lineup.
They cheated 7 of those 10 years.
Look at the Dodgers lineup. What is it? Didn't they say like the top 5 in the Dodgers lineup is worth like $1.2 billion?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Just like the top 5. I think it was 5. I don't want to
Hey, I'm in the locomotive class, but you don't see me winning the race neither.
because they just paid Will Smith. They just upped Will Smith for like 5 years, and he's making like 30 mil.
They just gave him a big extension. The
think
Indians
it's
are
the
plus
largest
6,500.
Yeah.
Dead last, in case you really like the A's, plus 50,000.
In case you really like them.
The A's don't even have a place to play. Aren't they trying to get out to Vegas?
No, they're still playing in the Coliseum.
I know, but they want to go to Vegas, don't they?
I think they've got a stadium plan already made up, but it'll be a while before they ever move over.
All right, I think we got our teams.
There you go.
Yep.
When the Braves won it a few years ago, I completely forgot that preseason I put a bet on the win. I put $20 on the win, and I opened DraftKings when I was like, "Why do I have so much money?" I completely forgot. I was like, "Oh shit!"
That's like finding a $20 bill in your pants in the dryer.
$400. Let's go.
Hey, go put it in right now. Go put it in right
I
now.
think it paid $440. I think is what it paid.
Whoa. I hear you.
Hey, you guys want to put together a parlay right here live?
A what?
A parlay.
I don't know what that is.
A collection of picks of more than one. So 2, 3, 4, 5, however many, and they're all parlayed into the same bet. And all of them have to win for it to win.
So you get better odds.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know such things.
You just sit back and listen. How about you do that?
I told you I was going to get learned today, right?
Golly.
I'm telling you, I don't know it. That's why I brought him.
Oh, well, Carolina's legal now, so you guys can do this too.
We can,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even talk.
Every billboard, every TV, it's like y'all with the
Dude,
water scandal.
I cut on MLB Network this morning, and all they're talking about is money lines, over and unders, and first halves. And I'm like, God dang, man. Like, they wonder why people get caught up in this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you going to sit here and even if Shohei is guilty, which I don't, whatever, you can't, I mean, come on, man. It's shoved down your throat.
It's all about the money. It's all about the money. The bottom line, baby.
No doubt. Let's wrap it up.
All right, boys. Good talking to you. See you next week.
Yeah, man. See y'all.
Donate to
Brian,
Red Cross. I was going to say donate to Red Cross. That's what I'm going to end with.
Yeah.
Roll it, Gigi.
Before you leave, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give these firemen a huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you check out the coolfireman.com for more. Thanks!